and I'm very excited to see how W7M are going to do. Having only played one game so far in Stage 2, we really haven't got to see a lot of them, and I suspect there are a lot of old school Pro League fans who are looking to see how Mav and GDN are going to perform. So we've got to see them for one play day. We now finally get to see them for their second. Entering into the operator bans, Thatcher's going to be the first one to be gotten rid of by MIBR. Thermite as the second one, W7M.
When was the last time we saw a Thermite ban, Gio?
It's been a while.
Seems like a bit of a throwback. Thermite obviously having the smokes now, so it may be a good enough reason in itself to remove. Clash getting taken out of the equation as well. MIBR going to come and hit us with the final ban. This means, of course, that Flores will be available. MIBR going to take away the Wamai, so all in all, a couple of different choices in there. Obviously, there might be in one of them. Clash kind of expected on Oregon. There's always room for a Clash ban on Oregon if you feel that way, but yeah, the Wamai ban coming in as well is going to do something to limit what the defenders are really capable of doing. And I guess the big news, Gio, is that Flores is going to be available because he's been banned quite a bit tonight.
Yeah, we've seen quite a few Flores bans over the course of the last few days. Excuse me. So I'm excited, I guess, to see how Panico is going to do here on Flores. When W7M played against Team 1 back on Playday 1, we saw Team 1 lean into the Flores quite a bit because Alamau liked to pick him, but not quite as much on the side of W7M. So again, we get to have a look to see how that's going to do. One really key difference as well with the operator bans compared to that game was that back then, Team 1 specifically banned out Sledge to target W7M because of the nade play that Mav particularly likes to go for. Mav isn't actually going to be on nades this time, but GDN will be. But the opportunity for W7M to play with projectiles isn't going to be impeded, and even more so that is piled on by the fact that MIBR have chosen to ban Wamai as well. So the fact that that's available to W7M, I wonder if that's going to affect how effective their playstyle is.
Certainly bringing the Capital could be a big advantage there, and as you say, with no Wamai, only Wamai can really stop those Capital bolts from coming in. No Rooney being played from MIBR, so really could leave them quite vulnerable. It all comes down to the coordination, really, more than anything, from W7M here, as that's where we see a lot of Oregon attacks won and lost, is in that coordination, and with them being slightly newer side with the addition of Mav and GDN, you wonder about sort of ability to coordinate in that way. Some initial pressure coming in on tier 3. Reduct is quite aggressively, really, especially seeing as that he's getting droned. He's going to be able to deal with that, but could be getting taken out on the rotation. It depends on who's watching at the bottom.
Well, he's managed to make it all the way down into Pillar, where I would imagine his defense will continue for the rest of the round. Got to watch out for the bottom of tower stairs, watch out in case anyone comes in through construction, or the meeting hatch, which, as we like to joke, is the favorite of Brazil. Most of these players of W7M, they're still upstairs somewhat. Herds is going to get rid of the default cam down in Freezer and probably try and apply some pressure in there. Especially given that he's carrying nades, he might be able to remove some utility. There's not a ton of attention being paid there by the defenders of MIBR.
Now we see the Flores come in. Panico gonna get the Flores drone out there. Oh, Bodega, he's gonna miss out on it. Eventually, he will be able to take it out. Still, Panico has 3 drones left, and as further distractions start to come in, it could be easier for him to actually do what he's trying to with it. Still plenty of time left as well, with a minute remaining. More information now being gathered. We're going to see drone attempted in through the bunker. Unsure if it was successful or not. We heard like a short, sharp spray of bullets, and we haven't heard the explosion yet, although it seems to be going off now as a push coming in on these back stairs will be done at the same time. Nade there to remove the Goyo shield, and a pocket reinforcement will be enough. So W7M could really look to start to aggress on through now, but MIBR are really locking things on up. He's going to be left to try and push in as a hatch drop will come through for Mav, but he has got the safety of the smoke canisters. Still quite a bit of time remaining in 20 seconds. The diffuser in Guy's hands. Dega, he has a C4. He's going to be ready to throw it on over the stack and see if he can make it stick, and he can. That's diffuser down as Panico. These two will fall. The kills continue here for MIBR. Fouls, big show in there in the end with the shotgun.
I don't think that all of the nades that W7M used caught the value that they were looking to get. Yeah, they managed to get rid of the shield that was present in Elbow, but beyond that, they didn't shift much using all of those projectiles. You know, the pillar was still being controlled. It was still being held onto for a decent amount of time after the nade went down the tower stairs. There was also another one that was thrown shortly after that, but I only heard it as a sound cue and didn't actually see where it went. But no one got killed. Maybe some utility was taken down. But the point is every time those nades got used, it was still a member of MIBR who was getting a kill in return. And then, you know, everybody was all kind of together. I like the fact that Mavs dropped down through the meeting hatch. It was more safe than many of the meeting hatch drops that had done in Brazil. He had the smoke, he could get himself in, but it was a really well-timed C4 from Bodega, something that we saw Bodega do very well yesterday, actually, too. Unfortunate round for W7M to not be able to secure that one, but it's only the beginning of the game. There's plenty more rounds to go on, and now we're going to be heading on upstairs. Maybe their fate will change here.
Let's see what W7M are capable of doing now upstairs. I'm not going to be able to leave it as late every single time. Sure, it's okay to try and execute late on a laundry attack. Ideally, you want to be getting some sort of advantage early, but MIBR are a good Oregon team, and, you know, Felipox or not, it didn't look to slow them down all too much in that previous round. Especially given that starting off on the defense here, if MIBR can get themselves a good couple of rounds under their belt and give themselves an easier task when they get onto the attack, then we could really see them find some success here. In the meantime, W7M are initially going to start to approach the attic. We do have UDN there playing the Maverick, so you would expect him to start Mavericking open that attic wall. There has been, sorry, I can't even speak. There is a soft wall, sorry, Gio, that has been left there on the games wall. And that kind of speaks to some aggressive stance here from MIBR, but it also makes it very difficult for W7M to really even get on in.
They are really struggling to break their way in. You can see Mav over towards Armory, and that's why Lukid's looking to place a C4, but I don't think he got the location quite right. Yeah, given that Mav didn't even lose any HP for that, that confirms that suspicion. In fact, Panico will be the one to get the first kill as he punishes Lukid for rotating out of the garage. So W7M, while they haven't been able to make their way in so far, they actually turned out to be the team with the opening kill.
Ooh, Reed up there going to come in with a frag before being traded on out. Herds trying to battle his way on in, but going to struggle with that soft wall. It's a great angle that can be held, and especially with the deployable shield still in play, it makes it a little bit more unpredictable to push on through. There's plenty of drones left for W7M here, so they've got that luxury. They've also got the luxury of a little bit of time. They've got over a minute, just about. Dega playing on the alibi. We've kind of questioned this before, where he was sort of put out on the alibi or the vigil and just been asked to sort of find a frag and waste some time. In this instance, he's brought the shield. Typically, he's seen better success on more of the supporty style roles. We'll have to see if he's able to come in and have a big impact here, as W7M do have a man count advantage. Fouls, he's got multiple angles to check, but initially won't be worried about the big window. Bodega is going to take up that angle as hard right 90-degree angle right next to that window. He should be able to challenge onto trophy door as well and just lay some shots down. 20 seconds left. W7M still trying to make that entry. Bodega initially misses his shots but makes up for it. Finds the frag. Will be traded, but it isn't the end of the world. Well, it is if Herds is going to come through and find two from inside of the attic. players on MIBR lining up for him.
Sorry, I had to sneeze. So,
I'm jealous.
mean, we wanted to see if W7M would turn their fates around in that round. The answer was yes. Again, a lot more nade play, a lot less protection within the site itself for MIBR. And I did fear for Bodega. I'm glad that he managed to get the kill just before he was traded out. So at least some value was done, but it turned out to be relatively impactless as hers just came bounding straight through afterwards. Also, you know, we referred to, I suppose we could say, patience now, with which W7M were looking to actually move into the building itself. We wondered if maybe they were struggling, but actually in MIBR trying to punish that, W7M ended up getting an advantage in terms of information. You know, when you've got Lukid trying to go under, get a C4 kill, it wasn't entirely educated. All you do then is you actually give away to the rest of your team, or to the rest of the enemy team, that there is someone literally downstairs in the lobby. Well, great, there's an attacker directly outside the main door. So W7M were very good at using plays by MIBR to turn into information that they could capitalize on in that round.
Could we be in for a bit of a war here, Gio? Maybe a bit of a concern that with the slight delay in getting underway here, that maybe the teams that have obviously played warm-up scrims and got ready for the fixture, got ready for the match, have then been sort of put on hold for a little bit. You kind of want to just come straight in off the back of that warm-up scrim and straight into your official match, so maybe about which team is more mentally prepared on the day. See Oregon play out as one of those sort of backwards and forwards affairs, but early days yet. Still time for MIBR to make something happen. Already we've seen a couple of changes come through as Vega's going to be moved on to the Goyo this time. Alibi not really working out too well. Still able to bring the shields and I guess more importantly the C4, right? The C4 worked really well back in round number 1 for him. He was able to get the kill onto the planter and cause a lot of disruption. Leave the roaming and those sort of more time-wasty roles to the players like Lukid and Raps who can get themselves out there. And I mean, Raps is playing inside of the site at the moment. It's going to be Redux, in fact, to be out there on the roam.
What?
Herds is traded out 1-for-1 as Bodega will fall.
He had absolutely no idea the Reduct was right behind him. It doesn't quite nullify the kill that he got, but usually a trade means that the team that got the trade is the one who got the most value out of that. And I would argue that Bodega is probably the least valuable player on MIBR, just in terms of things like clutch potential, the likelihood of him getting off some really impactful kills. Yeah, he's shown that he's proficient with a C4, but there are other C4s on the team. Redux got one in hand. And it's not like he has regenerative utility that has now been lost to the team. His Vulcan shields would have already been used. So I would say that MIBR got the better side of that. Now Luke is just trying to hold into security. He knows that these attackers are upstairs. He's getting a bit more zealous with that angle, though not quite stepping out of the freezer stairs just yet. Panico trying to put some pressure from the kitchen. That's who Lukid wants to see if he can get caught in his line of sight, but so far he's not yet walked into it.
Oh, we're getting down to the sharp end of things. Redux, I have no idea how he finds even one there, but he does. EDN, 2 versus 1 now as he does manage to find a frag over onto Lukid. Pushes through the Toxic Babe canister. It's only going to end one way. Raps is stood at the top, pistol in hand. Only needed to land a few shots after GDN had already chunked himself down. A weird round of attack there for W7M, prioritizing the vertical. MIBR standing firm on the site.
Yeah, it was a different approach, and there's nothing wrong with trying to go in for the vertical pressure, but there wasn't really anything from W7M trying to clear out, for example, where Lukid was. I don't think they put much attention into the downstairs. And you still need an equal amount of pressure being put upstairs. That is, of course, where the site is. And you can't expect to get everything through the floor. So it was a weird one because it puts W7M in a position that is more vulnerable. Absolutely. If you are downstairs, you're opening up the site and there's not a ton of you around, you can get caught out there. And it also means so much time is being used that could have otherwise been used to actually try and breach onto the upstairs floor itself, because eventually you need to rotate up there. And you're not going to get all 5 kills from downstairs. So you're still got a challenge ahead of you. You'll just have less than 3 minutes to do it in. So personally, for me, it's not my favorite strategy. It's not one that I'm going to criticize to the point and say that it's stupid. I think that there are teams out there who'd be able to make it work. But the outcome was quite messy.
It's kind of a worry as well for W7M, where you see them trying to execute in a very short amount of time, and you do just wonder about that coordination and whether it has had time to mature with the fact that they're a relatively fresh lineup. But best way to sort of get that synergy is to be put in this position and have a chance to play at a high level against a team like MIBR, because, you know, even though they do have Bodega as a sub here, they've still got that core roster and they've still got all of their ideas and the way that they would like to play the game. It's not all of that has changed all too much. Reduct, he's someone that you can rely on for some really nice aggressive play nice and early in the round, and he'll do it with just about anybody. He's on the Malusi here, but regularly we see him out there on the Mute, for example, still looking to challenge on the roam, and even here he's trying to find his team that early advantage. Now Herds could be a big problem as he approaches from Kitchen. There's plenty of players in the vicinity for MIBR, so you'd hope that at least they'll get a trade-off here, but you do see a player try and make a rapid rotation. That player being Reduct, he gets away with his life, but only narrowly.
It's very aggressive defensive holding from MIBR as well. It is kind of strange too, because we've seen from a lot of their games over the last few play days that they have been more reluctant to play aggressively because of the fact that they don't have Philippox with them. It was something that was noted a lot, especially on the day, play day 2, where Philippox was playing with a controller. So it's nice to see them getting more comfortable with that. I think that's certainly a good thing. Now, these hatches are getting opened by W7M. We're over halfway through the round, and everybody is still standing. Eventually, that first death is going to happen. Herds may be preparing to move down the hatch or send a Gemini in, but he's going to have one of his teammates go down the laundry stairs itself to provide some support. There's the jump in, but he misses the nade. No! It hits the door frame, and you could see the feet of who he was going for as well. That's a huge loss for W7M, and they have to keep going, or at least trying, without him.
There's one way to make an entrance into sight, isn't it? It's to kill yourself with the grenade. MIBR probably sat there going, what has he just done? The push comes in. Bodega finds another kill onto the hatch. You rarely see people drop that hatch, and we're finding out why. Luke had said, look, you're getting all the kills, Bodega. Step out of the way. This is now a 4 versus 2, and we can take it from here. Thank you for your contribution. The player inside of Freezer, Panico. He's getting cut down by the Toxic Babe canister. He's not going to be able to progress as quickly as he would like. The diffuser is on the washing machine. It could be recovered by Guy, but really at this point, what is the point? The final 2 kills come in. Lukid and Fowls finding either player, one inside a laundry, one inside a freezer. MIBR holding on yet again downstairs.
Honestly, knowing that W7M could have had a much better go at that must be really heartbreaking for them. It was like a pixel in it. And I think we're going to get to actually see the replay of the nade as well, because it was so close, and you could see the feed over by the bomb chassis. They may have been able to have a much more solid way of clearing out laundry itself. And look, it's I mean, you have to laugh kind of, don't you? But it was
it's comical. It was perfect. The play is on paper, the play is absolutely perfect. It's what you could and should do maybe in that situation. But he just didn't account for the door frame. He didn't account for the good old crossbar. It was the crossbar challenge, and he won.
Not great. Not great at all. Well, MIBR are going to be coming over to their third site all the way on round number 5. It's not often that you have to wait this long for a third site, but you're going to get it, kids. Except it's not going to be kids, it's going to be meeting. Now, this is a site that we've spoken about a bit today already, just in the sense that you have to be quite thorough and quite assertive as the attackers, because the meeting room, so not really thinking about kitchen that much, the meeting room has to be cleared out pretty well. You're always going to have a couple of players in there. There's going to be someone in split as well, and if you're not thorough enough with that, then it's going to be very hard to actually push in and make a plant. That was a problem that we saw just a couple of games ago. Whoever it was who played on Oregon earlier today. Was it FaZe versus Black Dragons? It was FaZe versus Black Dragons. So that could be something that we end up seeing again here. There's always the option to go a completely different way and decide to go and focus on the kitchen instead, but you just never see that.
Mav going to be setting up a flank drone downstairs and looking to make his entry on through, along with Herds. Maybe going to be just the classic drone and take, make sure nobody's out here on the roam. Try and lock it off as best you can. No Nomad in play, so it's going to make it a bit more difficult to secure the flank. There's going to be a bit of barbed wire down at the bottom as well. It's going to get removed there with the Gon 6, and will a nade be threatened here? ADS has been burnt. Fowls has instead had to aggress on up, but there's no one from W7M to deal with his position. Now he has had to make a rotation out of that power position. Eventually, we are going to see the first kill come through for Herds. Fowls, he's expecting to be pushed from this door, but it really just isn't happening. Toxic Babe Canister might net him a kill there, trying to find some safety, get himself out of the line of fire of the grenade. There is still a player on those backstage stairs. Lukid, sure if he realizes, but somebody is going to be watching that attic rotation. That someone is Panico. Now he knows the shots come in, but there's not a lot that he's going to be able to do in terms to challenge it. That's a big kill that Fowls is able to get over onto Herds. GDM will shut him down though, so it does mean that control of those rear stairs is going to be in the hands of W7M.
Fowls did need to finally get that kill as well, because he was so trapped in the position that he was in. And even though he died straight afterwards, that was kind of inevitable. So the fact that he could take a member of W7M down with him is actually really valuable. MIBR will know very well now that that position that he was in by the back stairs is free and open. It probably means there's going to be more attention paid to the tower wall, the back wall of meeting as well. You see W7M making sure they have control of the green corridor. Moved as well into kitchen as Panico gets a kill onto Redux. This gives W7M the man advantage and GDN the opportunity to plant.
Dagger and Lukid almost in a retake here as Lukid knows there's someone in security. The plant's going to go down, but Dagger is going to get caught outside of his ADS. Panico able to take him down there. GDM picks up Lukid. MIBR just left themselves with a bit too much to do there, giving up a lot of important site control.
Yeah, that was, I guess it comes back to what I was saying before about MIBR getting a bit more zealous with their willingness to hold extended defenses and be more aggressive with them, but you also can find yourself in situations like Fowls did, for example, where you're trapped if you get surrounded by attackers. I think they have to remember they are going up against some very experienced leadership on the side of W7M. So even if their executes aren't always clean and the most coordinated, you know, it's a developing team, but they have great leadership there. And these are people who will 100% be able to recognize exploits like that. So it does leave the site itself vulnerable. And part of me wonders the reason that MIBR left it so late to even go to a tertiary site was because there is a, you know, precipitous drop between their comfort on the two main sites and any of the others. And I would believe that after seeing their defense there on meeting and kitchen, because it didn't look very well, you know, coordinated and whatever. So They're back down to... Oh, I say back down. They're up here. They're upstairs, aren't they? They're back up.
Back up to the top. We've bopped it all the way upstairs into dormitories. We've seen MIBR sort of defend this in two different ways. We've kind of seen them go for this sort of open strategy where they're going to leave half of the wall soft, and then on the games room wall, that is, and then we've seen them go for more of a reinforced off strategy. And well, so far looks as though we're going for the reinforced one. Herds is waiting for one of his teammates to get into position and give him a bit of intel, probably waiting for a little bit of info off that drone. Redux is going to be playing inside a trophy. Probably going to be an engagement that Herds is happy to take as long as he gets his nades out and gathers a little bit of intel. Enough for Redux to feel enough to be forced on back.
Cameras getting used. And no IQ on the attacking side, so I don't know how likely it is that they're going to be able to hunt those out. And I think wherever the Monty decides to go in, having the extra information on his location is certainly going to help. I don't know if it's going to be like a white stairs push, for example. They should be able to get a bit more. Grenade thrown from below. Not to find anything, it would seem. Maybe some utility, but... I didn't see it. Although we did just see one of the Vulcan shields get detonated, so that's gone. Guy is now waiting for the call, so he can get the X-Kairos pellets on the games room wall and sets them off.
Gives himself a little extra line of sight there to go along with it. Lukid really isn't seeing a lot of success out on the roam. We regularly see him in that position, and well, this time he's been able to make his way back to site. Try and have an impact here as W7M have gone for a very direct approach. Hertz has been taken down. 50 seconds or so remain. Still plenty of intel available here for W7M. They've got a lot of cameras up. Sorry, for MIBR, that is. They've got a lot of cameras up, but they've got nobody to sit on them. Because everybody is alive, someone has to be actively watching those cameras and gathering that information at the moment. Panico trying to challenge on through the games room wall. The Toxic Babe canister is going to cut off that access for the time being. There is still one Toxic Babe left. That is a beautiful C4. Somebody press detonate on that Panico. He takes a huge chunk of damage. Fowls comes in with an aggressive swing. Bodega, he's going to be underneath. But he's likely not even going to be required at this point. There is a player inside of the master bedroom. Bodega, you will find the kill over onto GDN, however. Mav going to be pushing the bottom of these white stairs. Read up there with that final frag. MIBR wasting a lot of time there on their defense and coming in clutch.
Again, another messy approach from W7M. And the fact that GDN got the kill onto Falls with the pistol while Falls was standing there with, what, a shotgun? What was it? That was probably not the best 1v1 of Falls' career, but, you know, we'll look past it. MIBR looking decently stronger right now than W7M, but going into the next half, you never know how that could change. W7M having an interesting approach here, and even though they are opting in for a 6-pick, it is not on the operator that you may assume it to be. Echo is going to be replaced with Ella. Grismont mines will be placed around the site or outside the site, the periphery of the site, to try and stun out any of the players who look to push in. But Tachanka is going to continue forth.
Good old Chanka. If anyone is sat there at home wondering, well, why is Tachanka being played? Tachanka's a bit of a meme pick. The reason is, brings a great gun that can do a lot in terms of opening up the site, but you also get a lot of area denial in those Molotovs in his gadget. You're able to, very similarly to a smoke canister, deny a large area. And if that's used somewhere like bunker, for example, where you're going to play on the elbow and you're going to play behind a deployable shield, the very same position that you would see a smoke play in, it can be quite effective at denying people from pushing on through. It's no real surprise to see Mav making his way back downstairs after getting up and reinforcing a couple of hatches and maybe making a few rotations, but he's likely going to be played either inside a freezer or inside a bunker.
Assuming that he makes it that far. There have been a number of times where we've seen Tachanka be brought. You get really excited about seeing how he's going to be utilized, and then he ends up being the first pick. So I would assume that given the map's playing it, probably not going to be the first pick. Want him to live a little bit longer than that, but yeah, you never know. Can't guarantee these things. This is very aggressive positioning from Herds down on the freezer stairs. It's very common to see a player guarding freezer, but a little bit further up and closer to the site, less so, or more so than being on the stairs themselves.
MIBR can start to get themselves in, and there isn't really much of a roam clear to deal with. You're more going to be worried about these lurking players on the staircases, ready to strike at a moment's notice, but nothing really to set anybody on edge just yet. Mav going to be sort of rotating his vision between freezer and the bottom of pillars. Herd's going to be playing inside a Harry Potter area as well. A good position for Mav to be playing because he can affect quite a lot from there. He can, of course, affect into freezer, but also into laundry, and then he needs to turn around. He's not too far away from getting involved in whatever's going on inside a bunker as well. Deployable shields are being replaced here. Rap's going to try and take a little bit of initiative. Unfortunately for him, he is going to miss out on the shield, but a nade will sail on in and do the job.
I was mostly just really excited then to see the Lifeline get ADS. You don't very frequently see that, which is really boring, but, you know, there you go. The Gujran Mine's going to be tossed out into freezer, hoping to prevent Rats, for example, from pushing further down. Bodega gets the kill onto Mav, so it is the first pick. The Tachanka, the first one to go down. GDN's going to try and get aggressive, but he just can't put it up. That means the attackers can still hold on to their position down in freezer, unable to be flushed out by Molotovs. And basically just a C4 is the only option for any kind of defensive projectile to push them out. It's gonna have to be gunplay from here.
Hatch drop gonna likely come in now as well. Panico does take down Raps as Herds is still playing on pillar and causing quite a nuisance. The diffuser is in the hands of Lukid. Herds is a one player inside a freezer. He's going to go for the challenge. Draws a circle around Fowls before correcting and finishing off what he started. Grabs the pistol kill over onto Lukid. A triple kill on the round for Herds. Couple of questions there maybe on the side of MIBR. Namely that drone that is staring us in the face. As that was a round that they certainly should have come away with.
Oh my god. That should not have been W7M's round. But it was. And it's not the end of the world. MIBR still retain their lead for now. But so far in this entire game, it has just looked chaotic. It's not been clean siege. It's not been really precise, you know, whatever. It's just, there's been a ton of chaos. Just forcing yourself down freezer. All these nades, a Lifeline not being able to get a shield, the Gujran Mine not really getting anything either. The GDN trying to get really aggressive and not landing anything. What is going on? So back upstairs, or I say back upstairs, this is actually W7M's first time going upstairs because obviously they are new to the defense. Let us welcome them. Bringing 4 C4s as well. So it wouldn't shock me to see them play quite a bit vertically. Hopefully, by being facilitated with the black eye cameras, they should have a decent amount of information that can help them with the C4s and with getting what they're looking for. But on the other side of things, you've got to bear in mind, of course, that MIBR have decided to bring a Jackal. So that kind of allows the attackers to keep tabs on the defenders at the same time.
It's something we spoke about, I think last, maybe Sunday, Gio, when we were saying that Bodega had come back and he'd come on to not the hard breach role. He was playing more of a flex support role. We're seeing him back again on this hard breach role. I get that it's Oregon, but the hard breach is still fairly pressured. Now, he's got a very important task to do here, and sure there's going to be fouls to pick up any pieces if it doesn't quite go to plan. But I'm wondering if they are going to pressure into Attic as well. We haven't seen MIBR attack onto Oregon just yet. And whilst across the BR6, we have seen other teams start to try and use Attic and implement it a little bit more into their attacks. The jury is still out on how MIBR want to play this. Now, Panico is going to get pressured. He is on the Jackal track currently. He's getting himself into a little bit of a coffin, just trying to run the timer down. The scan is about to expire, but he's going to get pinched from both sides. Raps. Well, that's one way of doing it. Bursts on through the wall. Takes down Panico. It's one C4 out of the picture.
Nicely coordinated. Is the C4 going to find anything? It took a lot of damage to Bodega.
Look at his camera. He's like, oh, I'm alive.
I mean, I was actually going to say, when you were mentioning the roles, you know, I suspect the job for Bodega on this round is to open up the games wall, because it's a very early job. So if he is to get taken down straight after that, at least they've got that done. The more important or difficult hard breach role will be taken by Falls, and he's probably going to be in charge of opening up Attic. But, you know, if Bodega gets caught out really early, like he nearly did, then you're not going to get the games room wall open at all. This is, yeah, I don't know if Falls actually knew exactly that Herds was there, but I suppose it doesn't matter. He fell. That was a really nice kill from Raps, getting a narrow angle onto Herds to exact his revenge. And W7M slightly weakened from manpower. Ooh, Luke just sees one of the defenders. I think it was Yi, but he's been able to get away so far. Mav dying. Next one in line.
Luke is still trying to push up these white stairs. It's being held from multiple angles. The C4 will be baited. At the time being, it hasn't gone off. Raps vertically will find Gi. GDN's in Attic. Just trying to cause a little bit of a distraction at the moment. There's only 20 seconds for him to hang on. Bodega, he's going to try and get the plant down behind the reinforced wall. Goes for the shots. Luke hits the swing. A round that really wasn't looking great for MIBR. You look at what they actually achieved in terms of opening up on the site, it was very little, but they still came away with it.
Back to Kids Dorms, I guess. I mean, both of these teams have kind of done a similar thing here, where if they lose a site, they go straight back to it. Because this is basically an exact reflection of what happened in the first half. We had laundry, kids, kids. Laundry, kids, kids. Once again.
The thing is, we talk about this quite a bit, and it's a question we ask in some of our interviews as well, Joe, is what makes a team go back to the same site again? And the answer they always give is that it's a small thing that they felt like went wrong, or a small adaptation that they can make to change the fortunes. I don't feel like there was a small thing in that previous round. It was a lot of things. Panico getting taken out first blood downstairs for nothing. Like, he didn't achieve anything really, apart from wasting maybe 30 seconds. There wasn't any major thing that went horribly wrong for W7. It was like a catalogue of errors.
They have changed a couple of their operators. I mean, the Valkyrie that we were talking about could bring them a ton of value, not actually going to be brought this time at all. Instead, they're leaning a lot more into those kind of physical barriers. When you think about the Toxic Vape canisters, when you think about the Surya gates of the Aruni, things like that that are going to make it much harder for MIBR to directly push. And I suspect the part of that is because, you know, Panico, when he was on Valkyrie in the last round, he got caught out very early. He got targeted, he got pinched down in the basement, didn't have a real way out. So even though the cameras were up, I don't know, I guess they decided that the information they got from that wasn't as valuable as the actual physical holding back that they could do with these newer operators.
We'll see if it works out for them. Raps is not quite speed running, but he's certainly giving it his best effort. Already getting himself to the top of Armory and looking to challenge into Trophy. I'm imagining that the flanks are all being covered here. A good look around for any sort of cameras, anticipating the Valkyrie, but we know that that isn't a thing this time. Probably going to be able to burn the laser gate and then look to try and push on a little bit more. Raps himself is going to be stunned out for a second. I can only think that he managed to catch the corner of the wall and catch himself, but he will have gotten rid of that laser gate for the time being. Bodega can start to open this games room wall now. Give himself a line of sight to work with as well. There's still presence inside of Attic. This isn't something that so far we have seen MIBR choose to deal with. Granted, they did lose fouls a little bit earlier on in the previous round when we saw them attempt this site.
A C4 that got tossed over? I guess so. Guy doesn't have a C4. Didn't catch anybody out. Everyone's still standing. See who it is who makes the first move. You can tell that Lukid is aware that there is someone down in the kitchen. Similarly to how there has been in the past. Okay, Bodega's gonna go straight in for a plant then. They haven't even removed anyone. No surprise that he gets taken straight down. GDN, the next one to fall on the side of W7M, and it looks like MIBR might be preparing to make another plant, but Raps has taken a ton of damage too. Herd's just shooting on into the smoke. MIBR have made mincemeat of their attempt here, without even going for any of the kills. Raps being down means it's basically entirely on Lukid, and Mav is about to come up behind him. He's, okay, not gonna catch him out. Nice kill from Lukid, but he's still got 2 more to find.
30 seconds left to go. The diffuser cold. Raps down. Not looking great. Raps has been able to crawl to some safety. If he can get himself up with the assistance of Lukid, then we could maybe see something happen here. The diffuser will be recovered. We've seen Lukid actually go below. He's gone to try and deal with Herds, and deal with him he will. Finds the frag. It's just Guy left inside of Attic now. Guy, keep yourself alive for 2 seconds. Hide out in the corner. Lukid with the swing. Guy is quicker. Hits the prone. Finds the final kill. A round that shouldn't have been that close in reality. Eventually will go to W7M.
It has been a real warfare here. W7M are getting ever closer to evening out the scoreline, and if MIBR want to be winning this game in regulation, they need to put those next 2 rounds on the board pretty quickly. But they have looked much less coordinated and much more messy on their attacks. The decision-making in that last round, I mean, it just kind of confuses me. I'm not entirely sure where they saw the value in it to be, because there are many times where you see a high-risk, high-reward play, like a very quick plant like that, work out. I'm not saying that it doesn't. But there just hadn't seemed to be much scoping or setup for something like that. And it wasn't entirely a rush either. So it was some awkward in-between where they were just trying to get the plant down without necessarily having all the information that they could have on how the defenders could punish that. And they punished it immediately, and everything was sent into a flurry after that.
They're the worst ones, right? Because, like you say, it's not a rush. It falls into that awkward category where there's still utility left that the attackers could use. And there was still over a minute when they were attempting that plant. There was, on paper, nothing that was saying now is a good time to plant, as they didn't even have the element of surprise. So I think vertical pressure is something that they could have done to really start to work on that a little bit better as well. You saw how easy it was to kill Herds when Lukid was able to get underneath. Like, just need to apply that vertical pressure a little bit sooner. But it's all done now. MIBR, they've still got the lead. But you do worry about their ability to close out these rounds convincingly, because that just looked a little bit like we're kind of out of ideas. Let's just try something and see if it sticks. Well, it didn't. But they're attacking downstairs once again into laundry. There's no significant roaming presence here from W7M. Instead, they're opting to stack the site, and they haven't brought the Tachanka this time.
Good. It's not that I think that Tachanka was necessarily a bad thing, but I made the joke about Mav going to be the first one to die because he was on Tachanka, and the curse pursued. You know, it prevailed. It kept going. And, yeah, it's one of those things where if you're leaning an entire strategy on one operator, because he is that kind of operator, where your strategy will revolve around him, if you lose him early, then that's a lot that's been lost. And, you'll have fewer options for what you can do after that. So I think it's better that they decided to lean into something a bit more traditional. GDN's going to be forced out of his position in Harry Potter, but he gets spotted by the drone anyway. So they'll know that he's out there. They know that he's doing okay with about 55 health.
Herds has been a player that has repeatedly been very dangerous. Currently trying to be baited out here. Not going to be that easy, Raps. Raps has made his way onto the sort of halfway landing now, but he's still very tentative in his approach. Herds is kind of flitting between a couple of different engagements here. He will, in fact, be stunned out on the lifeline, but the kill isn't going to matter as Panico, he comes in with a huge double C4. Actually keeps himself alive as the player crosses. Dagger, he swings all the way in and finds the kill over onto Herds. Still not leveled up, but it's done something here for MIBR as they were kind of desperately trying to find. Only 40 seconds left. Fowls needs to get himself back in and rejoin his two teammates as they are in still a pretty ropey spot. They need to try and make entry into the site. And we can see that there's plenty of utility that's going to stand in their way. A couple of smoke canisters and some C4s, but Panico, he's going to die with one canister in pocket. The wall's soft, so there is potential to get on through there. He still has a C4 primed and ready, though, as Fowls is going to start Maverick opening the hole, but no, he gets shot on the reverse angle. 15 seconds left and you're going for a Maverick hole? Like, that's dire straits. Raps, 1 versus 2. Can he make it? Stick finds one, but is traded in the end. This is some of the scrappiest siege we've seen all night, Gio.
It really is. It's like the siege equivalent of what you see in a beer garden at like 1 a.m., right? After the football.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? That was a round.
Round number 10, that was.
Sure where to begin with analyzing it. We will be going to dining, though, which is fun. This is not the kitchen site that was chosen by MIBR, so it's the first time that we're going to see it in this game. W7M, how are you going to approach this? Well, they've decided they're going to bring Valkyrie back. Valkyrie and Echo, lots of cameras available. One of the problems, so we've seen a couple of problems with Brazilian teams in Stage 2 on how they decide to attack this site. When it comes to a team like Black Dragons, they were too fast. They kind of just full sent themselves down Shower's corridor, straight into the jaws of what was waiting for them. As a result, you lose 2-3 members of your team, and it's very difficult to make a full push. In the case of, I want to say it was Team Liquid, but I could be wrong. Sometimes you see it being a bit too slow. And you can't break into Showers at all. You're trying really hard to burn the utility in there. You can't shift the player who's actually defending itself. So you need to find some middle ground. Now, what I would like to see as my checklist for this is go upstairs into small office, open up the floor in there, and that is actually why we saw a Valkyrie Black Eye get placed in there, because they want to know when the attackers are in there. Work on the Showers wall and the dining wall. So oftentimes you would see a thermite be used to open up the dining wall, but of course he got banned out for this game. So they're going to have to rely on Maverick and Hibana instead. Clear out Showers, and then you can actually work on going in for a plant. If you have someone placed upstairs as well in the hatch over kitchen, you have vertical control of the site too. So MIBR have a good start here because they've actually sent someone up towards office in small tower, which is something that we haven't seen a ton of in the recent Oregon games across this region.
I always want to know where that Valkyrie camera is that's like inside the shade, and it looks like you can barely see anything when they're flicking through it. But you can obviously see something useful because it's used. I think it might be inside one of the lights in the site, but maybe we'll get another glimpse of it inside of this round. For the time being, MIBR have got themselves well established here inside a small office, and they're going to look to try and push through. Plenty of information currently being gathered on the drone as 3 out of the 5 players are in drones. Trying to figure out what their next step is going to be. Could do with some pressure coming in from this backside, as we do have Herds in a position to strike. And he's a player that if you give him the space, he is going to punish you. He takes down Raps here. That's the Zofia lost. It's a big loss of utility. I'm not sure what exactly we did lose Zofia with, but Nerds eventually will be taken out there. Lukid, patience in a narrow angle will pay off. Reduct, he comes in with 2 kills. He's providing that cover and that pressure that we asked for from the other side. Gonna find himself a second. Panico, he gets traded on out by Fouls. Big advantage here for MIBR to work with. A 3 versus 2. We've got to be mindful of the fact that there's just so much intel available for these defenders. They've got black eye cameras, probably a couple of defaults still left, and they've got the yokai drones as well. GDN in a slightly off-site situation. He's still got his Toxic Babe canisters and could look to try and move through, but the air jabs could make it difficult for him. But Dega has the diffuser in his hand. Panico able to ping out for himself on his own yokai drone as GDN's got himself into a position to use these Toxic Babe canisters, and he's going to start trying to stop players from pushing on through, but I think it's a little bit too late. People are already in sight. Bodega already attempting that plan. Going to get straight back on it and give it another go. Can this denial pay off? GDN, how is he being allowed to move just so much? The plants will go down. Bodega, he's going to get chunked down in the process. He pre-fires on through. He actually puts loads of damage in onto Panico, but doesn't quite finish him off. Still waiting for that little bit of intel. Draws for the bear in 9. No, gets himself taken out. Reduct and Lukid left to clutch up. 2 versus 2. 24 seconds left on the clock. There should be an MIBR round here. All they've got to do is try and waste a bit of time and hold on. W7M are desperately searching. Lukid, he hits those. Takes the head clean off Panico. GDN gets caught out inside of the air jab and finished off as well. The last skill going through as a trade. But still, MIBR there coming away with that round.
My expectations for that round actually went really backwards and forwards. I had a lot of hope in MIBR because of the way that they started approaching it. Then as soon as we saw that GDN was back on, he was back on the white stairs, then he moved into kitchen. Because there were only 3 players remaining of MIBR, my immediate thought was they can't send someone upstairs. No one can go to the hatch. And that is, below the hatch is where GDN was playing. So they would have directly been able to put pressure on him had they been able to do that. But there simply weren't enough players for them to be able to. So it was at that point, especially when we knew that the yokai drone was still available, that I thought, nah, there's no way that MIBR are going to be able to get this plant down, especially when the Toxic Babe canisters came out. But time was on the side of MIBR, and suddenly the situation was very different because those post-plant positions that MIBR were able to hold made it so difficult for W7M to actually do anything about it. And you're in a position where, Panico, he was one of those last 2 players. He had to step out of his position to try and take the kills. There were about 10 seconds left. It said 17 seconds on the clock, but you can only start diffusing. You can actually only get a diffuse if there is 7 seconds left. So time was really running out. W7M had to relinquish their positions, and that just put them directly in MIBR's line of fire, and MIBR took the round for themselves.
Match point for MIBR as well. Looking to continue their fine form on Oregon. It's been a closer game than I think we maybe anticipated. Some of the rounds have been very scrappy indeed. Certainly could have been over by now as well with the way that some of these rounds have played on out. But W7M and MIBR both hanging on in there, and I really want to stress that both teams are hanging in there because it could have gone either way. But MIBR with the first chance at taking this in regulation and clutching those 3 points, which, let's be honest, they are going to need at the moment. They haven't had the greatest of showing in their opening game so far, so 3 points here would be ideal for them. A lot more on this round than just the game itself. Have dropped significantly in the standings, and they're going to need those points to maintain and to increase their position. So W7M, a lot to play for. Looking at the upstairs site, kids' dorms. A site that we've seen sort of mixed success on, really. A lot of the rounds have come down very late indeed. Mav lining up a C4. It's not something you see all too often in Siege, just players really lining stuff up, but getting himself accustomed to that angle. He's going to try and play vertically.
Still haven't heard a C4 be thrown, and you can see with the UI that it's still in the pocket of Mav. Isn't it crazy? We've had this UI for about a year and a half now.
It's wild.
I know. Still
I was looking at a VOD of the old UI, and it just... You wonder how you ever watched it.
No, yeah, it feels wrong. Well, this one is great, and we can see what has and hasn't been used. So we know that the C4 is still in pocket. The X-Kairos pellets being used to open up the wall. Bodega is actually doing this on full health now. He hasn't been C4'd into oblivion like back on round number 9. Out go the lifelines as well to, I think, remove shields. So W7M still have a lot of C4s in pocket. They decided to bring 3 with them. They're going to be flipping through the cameras that they have up to try and find the locations of these attackers. After all 5 of them are still standing, and we're in the final minute.
Herds is in that powerful position by the big window. It's a location he's got a ton of kills from previously. Really do to be dealt with. No vertical pressure this time from MIBR. We do have fouls underneath, but as the Maverick, realistically, what is he going to be able to do? A freebie. I talk about Herds and his positioning, and he gives it all up for free on the double window. Bodega attempts the plant instantly, is taken on down. Mav is dealt with vertically. Can the diffuser be recovered? The answer is yes. Raps, he's picked it up, and he's going to look to try and nail it to the floor. He is making a rotation now into Attica. C4 comes up. It stops the plant in the dying seconds. It's 3 versus 2. Lukin, he's caught inside of the Banshee. GDN takes down fouls. We've got to be going all the way to overtime here. The final kill comes in. W7M by the skin of their teeth.
MIBR was so close to taking that. And they're going to be kicking themselves. And at this point, because of the way that it has gone so far, Ollie, I don't even know if I can give you a prediction as to who's going to get it. I mean, when Chunks asked this at the start, my response was like, maybe MIBR? Like, I wasn't even sure at the beginning, but I'm even less sure now.
W7M, based on the fact that they've been given defense first. They have got defense first. That is the favorable side. We've seen 4-2 splits for the team on defense both times. You've got to give it to that sort of an advantage. And it is Oregon at the end of the day. We've not seen that same clutch factor there from MIBR. There's been big mistakes from both sides. And it's not even about who can capitalize on the most mistakes. It's literally coming down to who is the last player alive. Because so many of these rounds have been down to, you know, it's been like a 2 versus 2 with only a couple of seconds left. 1 kill goes through, and then the team with the man count will pull it off. It really has been close and scrappy stuff. You think back to that previous round, and Herds just giving himself away for free. I thought that was going to be a big win condition there for MIBR. But again, they're going for the plant, and they're trying to get that plant down. And you're just like, it's not the time, it's not the place. Like, there's still things to do, and there's still people to deal with, and you'd be better just going at it with, you know, an equal, or with your advantage at that point. By putting the plant down, MIBR were putting themselves back into a 4 versus 4 despite the advantage they got with taking Herds out of the picture. Because someone's locked in planting a diffuser. So it does make it quite difficult then to consistently pull away with the rounds, especially when they're so scrappy. But we go back downstairs, we go downstairs to laundry. Overtime, hit that reset. W7M starting here on the defense.
So W7M, they've won both of their laundry defenses. In the first one, MIBR did get a successful plant. W7M still took the round. In the second one, there was no plant. There was sort of a plant, almost. Remember? There was a drone right next to it.
Yeah. That was, again, another example of, like, and this is really weird to say that we're not like advising against an objective-based siege and looking to get the plant down, but there's times and places to get it down. And sometimes, in this game in particular, when MIBR have been looking to try and get it down, you just feel like they're trying to force it a little bit too much, and it isn't coming so easy.
Alright, we're in overtime. Do you think it's going to go to max OT or just normal OT?
I think it's probably going to go to max OT.
Okay.
I really have, like, the defenders winning in overtime. And I know that yesterday I said that sometimes the attackers pull it out in overtime, but I just can't, with how scrappy this game has been, I genuinely can't see it going any other way.
All right, well, I guess we'll see if you're right. Already one of the walls being blown wide open. Fal's trying to send some warning shots down the tower stairs as MIBR look to drone out. This is a very similar setup to what they've had every single time. Herds down towards Harry Potter. You can also hear the X-Kairos pellets working to open up the hatches. So decent work by MIBR so far. Herd's getting very aggressive with his positioning, just waiting for someone to show themselves. I don't believe anyone from MIBR is actually there.
Herds has been found out on the drone. There's going to be 3 players stacked up outside of bunker. Herds is doing his sort of trademark wiggling between multiple different angles, and MIBR waiting for the call to push him at the same time. The smoke going to provide a little bit of cover. Raps looking to capitalize. Herds has dug back into Harry Potter underneath the stairs now, as Raps is going to re-drone. We'll find him out there and be able to give a ping out for his team, but there's still a player that's going to be on pillar who can look to try and assist. Lukid, he takes a ton of damage as he's made his way into bunker. There is info available on these players. Herds, great shot there over onto Redux. Is he going to be able to continue it? Nearly takes down Bodega as well. Raps, he's going to get himself into an engage with Mav and come off better before the final swing comes in. Lukid shuts Herds down. A big problem in the side of MIBR. They now have an advantage here. Panico is going to be looking to try and get the flank off. Fowls, a player that is consistently out there watching those flanks, regularly found on a different level to the site, and always coming up with the goods. GDM playing close with the shotgun. This could be huge. Oh my goodness, what is going on? What are we seeing, Geo? He's gonna wait. He's gonna wait until the plant nearly goes down. Finally takes him on now. Oh no, not like this. Lukid, he's 1 versus 2. He has to try and push on through. The final kill comes in. What a round from W7M.
Absolutely no way. I was getting so ready most of the way through that round to be like, oh, so what was that about the defenders always winning, Ollie? Because MIBR had the advantage for like the whole thing. And then the trigger discipline, but it's not even like you can just put that all down to GDN playing really well with the trigger discipline. It is absolutely down to MIBR for not checking the corner.
Honestly, like...
You can't do anything but laugh, really, at that. And he just sat there. And then he got another kill after that. Look at it. Bodega. Oh.
Just how he looks down, like, he's got that internal clock, hasn't he, of, like, the plant's nearly down, you know?
Oh, my God. And then just the second one onto Lukid. Look at that. Look at their reactions. Oh my goodness.
Some frustrated faces on the side of MIBR after that round, and I mean, you can't really blame them, can you? That was a bit of a grueler. As you say, Gio, they had the advantage throughout that round. They were able to...
They were doing really well.
They were able to crack that sort of rear stairs. Herds, you know, underneath Harry Potter, they were able to deal with that. They were able to deal with... you know, Panico and get and Mav particularly, and then it all just sort of crumbles. But Max OT, I'm telling you, here we go.
Oh no! Imagine if it happened again in round 15. That would hurt too much. I'm sorry, we can't let it get that far. W7M now switched over to the attack. MIBR on their defense. So by the logic of Ollie, MIBR are going to win because of the side that they're on. They're also leaning very much into the C4 play. They've decided to bring a mirror along as well, which in theory will give them a lot more of an advantage for when W7M look to push down somewhere, such as Freezer maybe, or the tower stairs. Two of the popular places to put a mirror window would be on the freezer wall and on the back wall of supply, the one that directly faces the bottom of the tower stairs, right there. You can see Bodega sitting right behind it. Thanks for showing us. So the idea there is that you would get a huge advantage in the knowledge of where these players are coming from and shoot through the relevant walls. Now, I don't actually think the mirror has been placed there. I think it's just been shot out. Yeah, you can see it's just a straight line of sight. So presumably the mirror windows are on the other side of the site.
Well, this is W7M's chance at converting this map. So, we're going to want to try and give it everything they've got here, and imagine they're going to take their sweet time doing so, making sure that they're very well set up already. We've seen half the round spent, as they have been able to get open things like the hatch in from meeting. They're going to destroy the Banshee there on the floor. It's not a questionable use of a nade, but you've got a couple of nades to spare, so you can kind of get away with using a nade on a Banshee in that way. Obviously, the Banshees now open up when you are near them, and you can shoot out the middle, so you're no longer restricted to only explosives. We are going to see a nade come in now and attempt to take out the ADSs, as Lucid's going to see some pressure on these rear stairs. Still playing quite aggressively, though. GDN not looking to challenge just yet. There will be a push coming in through bunker as well that Lucid has to be mindful of. He's likely being covered there as well, as he will be found out on the drone. Redux going to trying to be providing a bit more of a crossfire for him. You can tell that the net is tightening, and the push is going to come through very soon. MIBR are playing this extremely patiently. They really don't want to give this one away, as they know just how quickly things will start to fall. It's a big entry kill there onto Lucid, and the kills continue for W7M. Panico, he's able to find himself one, still playing on the elbow. It's a powerful position. Raps just gets swung on by GDN. It's now all down to Fowls and Bodega. 13 seconds left. The diffuser in the hands of Guy, and it is going to be going down. Fowls has to try and push up and make a play here. Going to be able to find himself one. Can he grab the second? Yes, he can. The shotgun will work for him at close range. Bodega has to attempt the swing. Can he hit his shots? Yes, he can. All now down to GDN. Oh, Gio, it's coming down to a 1 versus 1. We got GDN versus Fowls. Fowls, he's going to try and defuse. Is this a bait, or is he going to try and stick? Comes off. SMG in hand, hits the shot. Max OT, here we come.
Oh my god. I honestly, the problem there was that GDM pre-fired. If he hadn't have pre-fired, he would have got it. That is so frustrating. Fowls played that end of that round fantastically. Ollie, I think that all of the really spicy things that are going to happen in this game happen in that one doorway.
It really seems it like that, doesn't it? Like that sort of electrical hatch drop, that small box room that we always talk about, and then the doorway into sight is just the hot spot.
What?
Oh, goodness me.
Oh,
I'll tell you what,
God.
they certainly didn't sort of cheap out on this final game, have they? You know, they made us wait for it, but it's been worth it.
Yeah, it's been bizarre at times, but these last few overtime rounds have really been something. Falls. I mean, Bodega, I half thought Bodega wasn't going to be able to get that shot, and then he reloaded.
Yeah.
The thing is, he reloaded straight afterwards, and I am someone who, my tick in games is reloading. I reload after everything I do. And as soon as I saw him reload, I was like, I recognize that move, and you're gonna get punished for it. I was like, I see myself in you right now.
That's never a good sign when you're watching professional Siege and you see yourself.
Nope.
It's not something that I can say that I've seen all too often, if ever. Man. But it's a round, and that is all that matters. And you know, the scrappier they are, the better for our viewing enjoyment. 7-7, all the way to max OT. Now this is where it really does start to get a little bit serious, because both of these teams deserve the win in my book. They've both clutched up. There's been huge rounds on either side. Fowls has had probably one of the best games we've ever seen him play. Regularly something we say and a comment we make about MIBR is you never know who's going to pop off. Last week it was Redux. This week it is Fowls. Previously it has been any single one of them. But he's really stepped himself up in a big way today. Can they do it when it matters most? This is all that it's coming down to. It's coming down to this next round.
Manifesting a good round. I don't really know what that means, but I know people say it on Twitter, so as I'm going to say it as well. MIBR are going to have to be very diligent when they're coming into this round, even though they played their attack. Wait, they were defending on the last round.
Raps is actually down here. It's not the greatest start. I don't think that Herds knows that he actually got him down. Wonder if we see Raps get picked up here.
If only he had a way of doing it himself.
That'd be a really good thing to give someone like Zafir, because Zafir always finds herself down.
I've heard there's a guy on Twitter called Bikini Body who's really advocating for Sophia to have a self-res.
I mean, he sounds like he knows what he's doing.
It sounds like he can influence these kinds of decisions. I guess we'll have to find out. Well, anyway, Raps did get picked up, but it was by one of his teammates, and Falls is going to be the next one to die. So W7M straight up have the man advantage at this point. Raps being significantly weakened also poses a problem for MIBR because it means that it won't take very long for him to be brought down. He's still holding on to all of his lifeline utility as well, and if he gets killed before he can use any of it, that could be an issue when it comes to clearing utility, as you would then have to rely on the remaining 2 grenades that are in the hands of Lukid.
Another issue is just how thinly spread W7M are. They've still got a player all the way in tier 3. Lukid will find the nade over onto Herds. There's going to be vertical pressure that needs dealing with. Typically, Fowls deals with that and has dealt with Mav in previous rounds. Mav is not a player that you can ignore down here. He has a C4. He has a lot of capability to disrupt what is going on above him, especially with the information that's going to be available on the cameras. 4 C4s left. It's a very dangerous prospect. Now, Redux has been able to get that kill, but at what cost? He is the Jackal. He does have the smokes, and they're going to look to him to try an entry in onto site. An advantage now for MIBR as Guy is going to be playing on the A-bomb chassis. GDN inside of kids' dormitories. There is potential for W7M to try and hold on here. MIBR need to try and make this entry. Redux, you got a glimpse, but you've missed your chance. He's going to get stunned out by the lifeline himself as Guy takes down Raps. Bodega has to try and stick this plant now. There's not a lot of time remaining. The C4 comes in from GDN. Guy finds that final kill. W7M. Overtime is theirs. They beat MIBR here on Oregon.
It was a tough one. It was really close between these 2 teams, and there were so many rounds that looked like it was going to go the way of one of them, and then the other one would just snatch it straight from them at the very end. A peculiar, albeit entertaining game that we got treated to for our very final one of the day. It could have gone to either of these 2 teams, but for W7M, who came last in the last stage, it is huge for them to be able to put a win on the board, and a really great precedent to be set